Today I'm going to show you how to build a terrarium. From the initial forage for resources to the actual build, of course. Obviously, the first thing you'll need to do is look for the appropriate container to build your terrarium in. For beginners, it's probably best to use a jam jar like this. With bottles, it's extremely hard to put substrate and plants into the container, let alone plant them. The next thing you'll need are some Tupperware boxes like these, to store any items you've got while foraging for resources. By far, the best place to look for stuff for your terrarium is the woods, of course. What you're looking for are things which you think will look really good in your style of terrarium. I strongly recommend the first thing you search for is the centerpiece for your terrarium. A centerpiece is the main part of your terrarium. This is the main, obviously it's the centerpiece. This stick right here is an ideal centerpiece, as its warped appearance gives the terrarium some uniqueness. Obviously I can't fit this into the Tupperware containers, so it's just best to just pocket them. The next thing you'll need to do is collect some soil from the forest floor. This means that it's unnecessary to buy springtails, as this will contain springtails and their eggs. The best way to collect this is to just scoop it into the container, like so. You won't need too much of this, as it will be added onto your main bit of substrate anyway. This topsoil will also give your terrarium a much more naturalistic appearance, due to it containing bits of nutshells and small fragments of leaves. Next, you'll need to find the suitable plants for your terrarium. Make sure you do your research so you know how big these plants can actually get. A great plant for a terrarium is a woodland violet like this one. A great feature of a terrarium is the moss that's inside it. So make sure you collect some really good mosses, like this one you see here. Just put these on top of your substrate in your pot. Make sure to collect different species of moss, so that means if one fails, you've always got a backup. The next things you'll need to collect are something to go round your centrepiece. For example, this old rotting yew tree has some perfect little chips of wood. These will go around the centrepiece and make sure it doesn't look too unnatural. Make sure you collect a few, all of different shapes and sizes. Now you've collected all your resources, you'll now need to start building the terrarium. The first thing you'll need to do is add a drainage layer to your container. The next thing you're going to need is a barrier to stop substrate from contaminating your drainage layer. You need to cut this into a shape slightly bigger than the jar. That means that no substrate will be able to escape into the drainage layer from the sides. And it should look like this. For the barrier, I've used some weed blocker, but you could also use a fine mesh. The best way to put this in the terrarium is to first fold it in half and then half again. The next thing you'll need to do is add the substrate. Once you've added the substrate, the next thing you'll need to add is the centerpiece. Once you've added your centerpiece, your best bet is to add the largest plant. In this case, the largest plant I'm adding to this terrarium is this violet. Once you've added the largest plant, the next thing to add are the smaller pieces of wood which will go around the centerpiece. Once you've added the smaller pieces of wood, the next thing you're going to need to add is the woodland soil. This means that you won't need to buy any springtails, as woodland soil contains plenty of springtail larvae and eggs. It's best to just get some and sprinkle it into the terrarium, like this. The next thing you'll need to add is the moss. Aim to put it in small crevices, like this one here, as this will give the best effect. As you can see, adding mosses to crevices like these, like I said, gives a really cool effect. As you can see, this setup is now complete, but it's missing a major thing, the lid. If you can't find a container with a lid, then here's a really good option. First thing you'll need to do is find a plastic bag. A freezer bag is ideal. The first thing you'll need to do is cut around all 4 edges of the freezer bag. What you should end up with is a bunch of trimmings and 2 plastic sheets. Next you need to select the best looking of the sheets and put it around the lid of the jar. The next thing you'll need to do is get a small stone like this and put it in the middle of the plastic. This will create an indentation. This stops condensation from leaking out from the edges and makes it drip down from the middle. The next thing you'll need to do is get an elastic band and put it around. It should look like this. As you can see, this looks really unattractive and ugly, so it's best to trim around this. It looks a lot better now, but as you can see, it still looks a bit ugly due to this old ugly piece of plastic on it. So it's best to cover it with a piece of fabric. The cheapest thing to use is a wet wipe. Just leave it to dry for a few hours. Just need to put it around like this and then tie it off with a piece of string. And just like we did with the polythene, you just need to cut away the excess. And now your terrarium is complete. For maintenance, all you'll need to do is prune the plants with a pair of scissors and wipe down algae off the glass. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.